My family has a long history of working in retail, and I am the second child, Linda. My parents were constantly on the go, what with my older brother and all the development classes they had to attend. How about I? I was the last thing on their mind. Whoever hosted our family show was obvious to me even as a little child. Whenever my sister and I were younger, my brother always got our hands on the coolest stuff first. I was given his old clothes. That did indeed include his clothing, which was especially challenging because, I was a female who longed to wear something feminine for a change. My grandma, who was my mom's mother, was the one bright light in my otherwise gloomy childhood. Picking me up from school and dropping me off at her place daily, she was my savior. Grandma made an effort to be involved in my life, in contrast to my parents, who were preoccupied with my brother's pursuits. My darling, how was class today? As we strolled home, her eyes gleamed with sincere curiosity. Have you discovered anything fascinating? At parent-teacher conferences, she was the one who reviewed my assignments and was genuinely aware of my living circumstances. I used to be sent out to watch cartoons by myself while my parents played Monopoly with my brother, which was their favorite family pastime, but I was never invited to join in. Hey, Linda, why don't you relax in front of the TV? This is what Mom would say if I attempted to play along with them. You should not be trying to understand these rules. As far as our household was concerned, that was about it. I was taught to be independent at a young age. I would prepare my own meals, tidy my room, and complete my assignments without assistance. My parents weren't inherently evil. I was simply not their golden child. Now that I'm older, I can understand how my formative years were influenced by those events. I was learning to fend for myself while they prepared my brother to be their next great business star. I discovered the importance of being independent, taking care of myself, and above all else, the significance of having a supportive person, like my grandma at my side. On the day I purchased that superhero comic book, my entire world turned upside down. I had meticulously counted every penny of my pocket money for weeks until I finally got enough. I was right. Standing before the magazine rack made me feel like I was about to find a whole new universe. The shopkeeper likely became tired of seeing children purchasing sweets and inquired, "Are you sure you want to spend your money on that?" For some reason. "Indeed, I am certain," I responded, clinging to my prized acquisition. I woke up several times that night. The comic book's artwork captivated me. As I studied the painter's use of ink and paper to convey movement and emotion, I found myself caressing the lines with my fingers. I snatched up a pad of notepaper and got to work sketching first thing in the morning. I used to draw clumsy stick figures with shaky lines. However, I made sure to practice whenever I could, whether it was during lunch, after homework, or even in class. My apologies, math teacher. My drawings began to improve shortly after, and that's when inspiration struck. Hey, how about we made our very own superhero? While having lunch with several buddies one day, I proposed. Someone who isn't like the others. Like what? Inquired my friendly and sincerely curious buddy Lisa. What if our hero were to go to the aid of strays and abandoned children? I proposed the idea while making notes in my journal. Just a caring person, no magical abilities required. It was a hit with my pals. We began collaborating on it, brainstorming ideas during lunch breaks. All of us would pitch in with suggestions while I drew rough sketches. A common individual who made the conscious decision to have an impact became our hero. Our homeroom teacher, Miss Thompson, overheard us sharing a humorous anecdote in class one day. Rather than becoming furious, she politely requested to view it. As I nervously turned in our assignment, I braced myself for detention. "Linda, this is absolutely incredible," she exclaimed as she turned the pages. "Could you see this kind of thing appearing in the school newspaper?" Our school newspaper ran our small comic strip before I could ever imagine. As word got around, more kids began approaching me in the halls to inquire about the next chapter. I was finally recognized for something I had made, rather than merely being someone's sister. It was a first for me. Even my brother couldn't help but notice how much attention I was receiving. While he was at home, he would remark something like, "It's just some dumb drawings," in an apparent attempt to deflect attention away from himself and onto me. Career day followed. When Miss Thompson wanted to know everyone's future plans, she palled them all. I sprang to my feet and blurted out, "A designer." The entire class went into a standing ovation. "I can totally see how that works. Impressive work. You're the ideal candidate for that." Unfailingly, Miss Thompson grinned. "I believe that's a fantastic decision, Linda, given your skill and commitment." I was eager to inform my folks since I was overjoyed. During supper that night, I told my server about my dream. A creative, while looking at Dad, Mom giggled. "My darling, that's not the way to build a career. You need to think like an entrepreneur if you want to be successful." Dad emphasized, "Keep an eye on your sibling. He already understands business principles." However, I am opposed to doing business. I objected. "I want to create things." "Mom, making things won't bring in enough money," she said, scoffing at my ambition. "You need to be practical." I went to Grandma because I knew she would understand my pain and disappointment. Her face brightened as she beheld my sketches and listened to my account of my dreams. "My talented girl," she exclaimed as she embraced me tightly. "Wait right here." An easel, actual canvases, and a set of artist quality paints were a pleasant surprise the following day from her. Not only that, though, she made my art studio a reality by clearing out her extra room. As the years passed, my brother's high school graduation ceremony took place amid the usual pyrotechnics. My parents threw him a lavish graduation celebration. Everyone in his family and circle of friends was invited. After the party had ended, he disclosed his intentions to go to college over supper. I'll never forget that day. "I am a member of the economics program," he announced with a sense of accomplishment, proudly holding up his acceptance letter. "I'm going to be the richest businessman this family has ever seen. Just watch me." As he lifted his glass, Dad beamingly said, "That's our boy. To me, that is the epitome of future-oriented planning. We are all going to be proud of you." Mom dried her eyes, her joy evident. "We always knew you were destined for great things." I, on the other hand, was dividing my time between my regular high school subjects and working on my art portfolio during my senior year. I had found solace in my grandmother's modest workshop. Drawings and paintings adorned the walls. With each new creation, I felt like I was getting closer to my goal of being a fashion designer. Whenever I had free time after school, I'd go there and work on various projects or refine my existing ones. By the time graduation rolled around, I had already secured a spot in the local college's design department. The admissions committee was impressed by my portfolio. However, my parents' response was anything but thrilled. "Well," Mom said with a groan, staring at my acceptance letter as if it were an unwanted expense, "I suppose we'll cover it, but please don't come groveling to us if you run into trouble finding employment. I don't think art degrees are really useful." My brother had gone into business for himself as an auto parts dealer by the time I enrolled in college. It was all my folks could speak about. He seemed to always find a way to bring up his business attitude, whether it was during family dinners, phone calls, or conversations in general. I had recently settled into a pattern at university, was getting into the swing of things with my design projects, and was beginning to form friendships with other creative types. Then it all went boom. I was walking across campus with my portfolio case when my parents unexpectedly came up one day after my design theory session. "Linda, we need to have a serious conversation," Mom remarked, her tone conveying that this was no ordinary visit. She had that dogged expression that I'd grown to despise. "You need to leave college," Dad declared without elaboration, positioned in the center of the campus walkway. Your brother needs help at the store." At first, I took it as a joke. "Oh, really? How? I don't think you're serious." "He's spending too much on employee salaries," Mom stated as if it were the most logical suggestion ever. "Being his sister, you are eligible for free labor. No one can do more for their loved ones than this. You've always been taught the value of family by us." In agonizing detail, they mapped out their strategy. Every night, I would clean the store, make cold calls, manage inventory, and work as a salesperson. All for free. They had obviously given this a lot of consideration, yet they had completely ignored my wishes. "And what exactly will my brother be doing while I'm doing all this work?" My voice quivered with rage as I inquired. My grasp on my portfolio case was so tight that I could feel my knuckles becoming white. Mom's face lit up like she was about to share some fantastic news with a very sluggish youngster. "Indeed, he will be in charge of the store's operations. His degree is in business, Linda. Your brother is prepared for this role. Therefore, he is competent to lead." In spite of the growing fury within me, I took a deep breath and attempted to maintain a steady voice. "This is not the end for me. They have hinted at a position after graduation, and I have previously completed an internship with Davidson Design Studio. To be a designer is my lifelong goal." Even more impressively, they claimed they'd never had an intern as imaginative as me. Nearby students spun around and stared, with a few of them offering me sympathetic looks, while Mom's laughter sliced through the air like a dagger. "Are you serious? You want to be an employee of someone else's uncle? Join the ranks of employee? Here's a chance for a true future, a family business. How many people would give their lives for this chance?" I begged my mother, please, as I fought back tears. With all the projects I had dedicated myself to in my portfolio, it was a burden to hold. I have no interest in working in sales. My heart isn't in being an entrepreneur. I would like to begin a career in design. I long to be an artist. It's my forte. I have tremendous talent, according to my professors. Professor Jenkins went so far as to suggest that I might be able to make a career out of this. "Talent doesn't pay bills," Mom fumed, her expression becoming more severe. "However, we are immediately proceeding to the administration office due to your absolute stubbornness on this matter," she said, straightening her jacket and looking over at Dad. "We're withdrawing our tuition payment and will inform them that you are no longer a student here." Every beat ceased. There was a noticeable slant to the universe. "Please, Mom and Dad, don't do this. For the sake of my future, could you please listen to me once?" "There's no need to talk about it," Mom harshly stated. "We will no longer support your pastime until you agree to work at the store. The time has come for you to mature and accept reality." As my parents went away, destined to destroy my future, I watched their figures shrink amid my tears. As they vanished into the structure, the autumn leaves whirled about them. They reappeared 45 minutes later, all smiles. With jubilant grins on their faces, they approached me as I remained seated on the bench. "All right, I see. That's taken care of," Mom said with a smile. "We have discontinued the tuition payments and signed the withdrawal paperwork. As of next semester, you will no longer be considered a student here." And then Dad threw in, "Time to pack up your things and come home," as if he were announcing some sort of surprise gathering. "Your brother needs you at the store first thing Monday morning." "Linda, you've entered the real world," Mom remarked as she patted my shoulder. "Believe me when I say you will remember this day and think we were kind to you. You still have a lot of packing to do, so let's get home." I sat there with my broken dreams and now useless portfolio while they turned and left. My voice quivered as I drew out my phone, dialing the number of the one reliable individual who had never failed me. "Grandma," I cried out over the phone, "they're threatening to force me to graduate from college." They approached the higher-ups in charge and, "Take it easy, darling," her soothing voice resounded. "Tell me everything." I broke down in tears as I described the store, my brother's requirements, and my parents' ultimatum. With only a few subtle snorts here and there, Grandma listened intently. She told me sternly, "Don't pack a single thing." After I finished, "Tomorrow I will be making my way down there. We're done with this crap. Just concentrate on your studies," you say. Grandma showed up 3 days later, just as promised. I stayed behind while she went to the executive office. It was too much for me. However, she appeared to be cheerful upon her return 2 hours later. "It's sorted out," she declared. "Your remaining tuition has been covered by me. There's no moving you from your rightful place." I was scared I was going to break something when I hugged her. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Precisely 6 hours passed during the calm. There, Grandma and I spent some quality time together. Mom contacted her at that moment. "How dare you interfere?" The sound of my mother's yelling pierced the room as I sat across from her on the phone. "This is none of your business." Gesturing away from her ear, Grandma rolled her eyes. "It became my business when you tried to destroy your daughter's future." After what felt like an eternity of ranting, Grandma finally decided to hang up. Next, the ringing of my phone began. "You can consider yourself disinherited if you don't come to your senses right now," Mom said with an icy tone of voice. "Is it your desire to sacrifice your loved ones so you can take art lessons?" Breathing steadily for the first time in days, I drew a deep breath. "No leaving college for me, Mom. Apologies, but I need to go my own way. Then you're no daughter of mine." A dead end was reached. My heart sank when I saw the Facebook post an hour later. "Our daughter left us when we needed her most. Her egotism has triumphed over her devotion to her family. During this challenging time, we ask that you pray for us." A fire broke out in the comment area. I had a feeling she was an ungrateful youngster. Aunt Sarah wrote, "Let the girl pursue her passions." Uncle Jim shot back. My cousin Rachel brought up the topic of family responsibilities, and Emma, a friend from high school, spoke out in favor of my independence. As I read comment after reply, a horrible sensation settled over me as I sat on my bed. While I was still going through the responses, my grandma came across me there. She firmly told me to stop reading that garbage, and then she took my phone. "When I told you, a choice has been made by me. My will is being revised. You will be the recipient of all my possessions." I was shocked and glanced up. "No, Grandma, I don't think you should." She cut in with, "Indeed, I do. I've kept tabs on your folks and your brother for quite some time. Another one of their half-baked business schemes would consume my life savings in just 1 month. But you," my face was held in her hands, "your ambition and skill are incredible. You will achieve great success. People are often proven right or incorrect by the peculiar ways life works." Grandma called with some news about my brother's store while I was in my final year of college. Saying, "I told you so," she attempted to conceal the fact that it was closing down. "Your brother couldn't make the numbers work. What happened?" I inquired, even though I had a fairly solid suspicion beforehand. "Same old story," was her response. "Less money is coming in than going out. And now for the exciting part." In order to add drama, she paused. "He's already got another brilliant business idea." It was confirmed a week later when my brother's Facebook status exploded with enthusiasm. "I'm excited to announce my latest venture, opening Ink Master Studios with my buddy Mike. The most renowned tattoo studio in town is on the way." He annotated the post with hashtags such as #entrepreneur, #businessowner, and #success. I couldn't help but note that he had used the artist emoji, even though he had always made fun of my artistic endeavors. I was kept apprised of the family drama by my grandma. "Your parents took out another loan against what's left of their equity," she informed me at one of our weekly dinners. "They're currently footing the bill for this tattoo parlor. Believe it or not, a second mortgage." There was a huge grand opening celebration at the tattoo parlor. Photos of their extravagant location which was much too large for a startup, were shared by my brother every day. However, he had an ingrained belief that more was better. Their social media accounts were replete with expertly staged images of pricey furnishings and state-of-the-art appliances. Up next, the posts began to evolve. Influencers and promotional models were increasingly offering free tattoos. Grandma made the snide observation that this was particularly true for the attractive women who had captured the attention of my brothers Mike and brother-in-law. The tattoo parlor closed its doors precisely 1 year later. There are too many giveaways, not enough paying clients, and excessive expenses. A going out of business sign appeared in the window without any online commotion. In the meanwhile, my life was heading in a completely different path. My final portfolio was stronger than I had anticipated when I began college, and I finished with honors. I finally got the call I had been waiting for the day after graduation. "We'd be thrilled to have you on board," Sarah, Davidson Design Studios' creative director, remarked. "Your internship work was exceptional, and your current portfolio, well, let's just say we'd be crazy to let you go elsewhere." I was surprised by the compensation they gave for a starting position. I was able to secure a modest but lovely apartment of my own within a month. It was simple, just a one-bedroom with plenty of windows, but it was mine, and I loved it. I save a certain amount of money every paycheck. Witnessing the unraveling of my family's financial situation made me resolve to establish a stable future for myself. The client was quite complimentary of my first major job here, and I could already feel my standing in the industry rising. See, Grandma's voice was filled with pride. When you showed me that first big presentation, I knew this is what happens when you stick to your talent and believe in yourself. In the end, my parents' hard work and sacrifice couldn't save them. My brother and his family couldn't repay 2 business loans secured by their home after their ventures failed. During one of our weekly chats, Grandma mentioned, "I heard they're selling the house." But even after selling, the debt remained. They went on to sell everything. Their home, Mom's prized antiques, Dad's golf clubs, their luxury cars, even Mom's designer handbags. The biggest shock was my brother's sudden announcement. He was moving to Arizona. "I can't help with the loans," he told them bluntly. "Those debts are in your name, not mine. Something's got to give." One Sunday afternoon, I was helping Grandma organize her craft room when a moving truck pulled up outside. I watched in disbelief as my parents stepped out of their last remaining car, a beat-up Toyota. Mom declared, "We're here," walking past Grandma's door without a knock. "Where should we put our things?" Grandma crossed her arms, standing firmly in the doorway. "And what exactly do you think you're doing?" Dad replied, "Moving in, of course. We have nowhere else to go." He started directing movers with boxes. "Oh, really?" Grandma's voice was ice cold. "And who said you could live here?" Mom wasn't pleased. "We're family, Mom. You can't turn us away. We lost everything because of those loans." "You mean the loans you took out to fund your precious son's half-baked schemes?" Grandma's tone hardened. "The same son who left you with the debt." Mom, unflinching, raised an eyebrow. "It doesn't matter. I'm your only daughter. This house will be mine one day anyway. We might as well move in now." A cold laugh escaped Grandma. "Is that what you think? Let me be clear. Everything I own and every brick in this house goes to Linda. Unlike you, she values more than just money. In a few months, you and your son would drain my entire savings." Mom's face twisted with anger as she processed Grandma's words. She spun to me accusingly. "You?" she spat. "This was your plan all along, wasn't it? Poisoning my own mother against me, taking what's rightfully mine." But I stayed calm, feeling a strange peace. A long time ago, I might have cried, but not now. "Mom, you need to leave." "Leave?" she shouted. "You're acting like you're in charge here already, giving orders in your grandma's house. Who do you think you are? Years of bitterness flowed through her words. "You ungrateful little snake. You left the family business, then turned my own mother against me. And here you are, acting like you're better than us." "Mom," I said quietly, "just go. This isn't your home anymore." She laughed bitterly. "Not my home. I'm her daughter, her only daughter, and you're just—" At that moment, Grandma stepped forward, wrapping an arm around my shoulder. "She's the only one who's ever truly felt at home here," Grandma said firmly. "Everyone else only saw this place for its monetary value. She's the only one who brought life and imagination to it, without demands or schemes. Now, both of you, take your things and leave my house." They didn't leave quietly. Mom yelled and argued as they loaded their boxes back onto the truck, while Dad tried negotiating till the end. Grandma and I stood at the doorway, watching silently as they finally drove away. That was 3 years ago. Since then, life has moved on. I'm still working as the lead designer for multiple big clients at Davidson Design Studio. Recently, I even received an industry award for my rebranding project for a national coffee chain. Haven't spoken to my brother since that day at Grandma's house. Sometimes I catch glimpses of his new ventures on social media. Each time he claims it'll be his big break, and I've heard my parents are now living in a small apartment across town. Meanwhile, Grandma and I have only grown closer. Last month, I helped renovate her home with my savings, designing a custom color palette, choosing artwork, and even commissioning unique furniture from local craftsmen. To her friends, Grandma at the door is flaunting it. When people come to see her, she always mentions that her granddaughter did all the work. She came up with the designs herself. She did an excellent job, didn't she? Sitting in the kitchen, where I used to complete my schoolwork after school, I occasionally listen to her enthusiastically giving tours while she hosts her bridge club or garden society meetings. My face lights up every time I watch it. She looked at me with a mischievous glint in her eye yesterday as we sipped tea on her tastefully renovated back porch, soaking in the sunset. "You know what the best investment I ever made was?" inquired her. "What's that?" As she squeezed my hand, she whispered, "Paying for your college education. For some, the best investments are stocks and real estate. I bet on your dreams, and now you see the fruit of that investment. I find that hard to dispute." I felt at ease with all my choices as I looked about at the wonderful environment we created together.